Hi, Mr. Morgan, how are you?
Well, I'm here to follow up on the 7 Pumpkin Center property, number of issues. I live on.
I know, that's the person that has the and I believe I sent the initial letter. I think she cleaned up the side of it. Then after I spoke, I guess a couple weeks ago, I sent another letter.
Harold and me were talking
About because the problem where you're saying she has stuff on the front porch she hasn't moved. I mean, her name is Barbara White, and I spoke to her on the phone once or twice already. I haven't spoke to her recently because I sent her that letter initially by certified regular mail. But I think at this stage of the game, I think I sent her a letter about a couple weeks ago. So signed. I don't know if she's removed it. Still there yet?
It's still there.
Oh yeah.
So I think what we ought to do, we got 2 options.
Cider.
And just go from there. But I mean, if you want, I already have I have her phone number. I can give you the phone number to call, but I think you need a cider. I've sent 2 letters. I've been to her house.
So she's not been cited yet?
You were there when I was at her house. The one.
Correct. But she's not been cited yet?
No.
No.
Okay.
That'd be the next step for us to do.
When we last spoke, there was 2 cases in front of the magistrate related to these code violations. I've looked up the dockets recently, and since you and I had spoken, it looks like you are now representing MC Services. These are 2 inactive cases in front of the magistrate. I have the docket numbers.
Let me just get a docket.
So the cases, Franklin had cases in 22, before they left. They must have canceled or vacated them.
Yeah, that was before I started.
Are you saying you looked at the docket?
Sure.
Okay. What I'll do is I'll call the district justice and tell him to activate the cases.
That might speed it up.
But I also think we need to cite her again because there's nothing getting cleaned up there. I mean, I've talked to
That's no
her.
problem. That's what me
I mean, little.
Michelle had talked about it.
We were just talking about it right before the meeting.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll call the district justice up tomorrow. I'll send him an email saying to activate the cases. I'll need you as a witness also. Do we have any files on this here at the office for these prior cases?
No, it was a case in front of Jesse Pettit, that Jesse Pettit moved and then.
But do we have any site?
No, I mean, Harshman was handling it, then Harshman dropped the case before he left. And then we didn't even know about the case until this gentleman here contacted the office. That's when.
Well, he contacted me about what was going on down there, and I went to look, but then there was letters sent.
Because I went down, because I
even
think,
tried to call his son in Ohio.
because Mr. Morgan contacted this office, and I guess the office called me to ask me to look into it. And I looked at the property with Michelle. I called the lady up. I sent letters to the son in Ohio, so I certified. If you can give me that docket, I can make a copy, write it down. Anything I'd like to know, do we have a file on this here in the office?
There's a file. There's a
If you
file.
can find the file, make a copy of that for me, and I'll activate the case then.
So I guess what are the next? I mean,
Next thing is the cider.
it's an almost certainty that nothing's going to happen. The landowner.
Have
is
you,
not
let me ask, have you ever gone to her house and sat with, have you ever gone on a
He's
property?
actually helped her, when he
Yes.
said pull the garbage cans up or get.
Well, her deliveries, because they leave them at the curb, or they leave them at my house because they assume
Did
hers
she,
is
have you ever spoke to her or saw her personally?
Yeah, she crawls around in the backyard. You just issue her legs.
I'll leave it at that, I'm not gonna say anything else. Well, if you can give that to me, you find me the file, I'll get that started. And then what we'll do is still need, I've sent 2 letters, I've called her up, I sent a letter to her son. The son never responded to me, I don't think,
No, he didn't.
so, okay?
Well, I guess back to my question, it's an almost certainty that there's not going to be any action once she is cited. So,
Well,
what are the next steps?
We had even at one time, a couple meetings ago, discussed having the road crew or someone clean up the yard and lean the property for it.
Okay.
But it looked then, me and Krista Beck went by there, and it looked like somebody was working on the yard, but there was that porch. That porch looks like someone would get hurt if they got on that porch to get that stuff off. And that's kind of where it
Sure.
got back to the sighting versus, you know,
Sure.
we have 2 options. First option is we proceed with the hearing, we get a conviction from the district justice. And then what I do, like I do everywhere, we cite that person once a week. Does Phil Melgrain do 7 citations on the citation?
Sure, that would be my choice of or the board's choice of how to do
So
that.
it's a matter of just reopening up the
Yes.
case?
Well, if I have that thing and you give me the folder, if I get to get that, I'll contact Phil's office tomorrow to set up a hearing, proceed with the hearing. But I think in the meantime, I think you need to file a citation and, you know, and just start processing that. That's the only way to get some of these people to get a citation.
Last question. I think what you were referring to, and I read, it wasn't here, in the minutes, I think on August 3rd, it was a line item, this property, at least I assume it to be in the pumping center, where the solicitor was going to take some sort of action to work with the property owner.
And that's when you
Has any action been
contacted the
taken?
son.
I did.
Sent the
I-
registered letters.
I sent, again, what I did is I
Who sent
went,
the letters?
well, that's, you saw me at the, I think, the property, I guess, a few days thereafter.
Sure.
After that, we looked at the property, I sent a letter to the person, Barbara White, and I also sent a letter, I think you, did you give me this, somebody gave me a phone, an address?
I did.
You did?
The son
Son
in
in
Ohio.
Ohio,
I sent you some information, yeah.
and I sent him a letter, and basically, and then somehow, I sent her, I think she called me up after she got my letter,
She did.
and I sent the phone number here to the office.
I think,
So that was probably August, September.
So we'll cite her and then hopefully
Yeah, it
something.
seemed
Yep.
like when we went back to, we met with some grant people about El Rima Park, me and Miss Krista Beck.
Sure.
So we went down and then me and her went to circle, it looked like somebody was doing something. Like there wasn't the boxes, it looked more mowed, it was, but the porch was horrendous.
Right.
And then a week later, I think you talked to Miss Krista Beck, but a week later, I don't know that we can send anyone to that porch. It looks very dangerous. Like, it was one thing if it was gonna be cleaning out to, you know, and then leaving the property.
Well, that's what you can observe from the street. I can attest to the fact that I've lived there for 9 years and there's not once been garbage pickup. So that's at least 9 years of garbage, likely more that's out on that property. In addition to the junk cars, the dilapidated buildings.
I'll talk to you after. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.